Okay, back with hot stocks. Pull up the stock of Prime Focus for you. They've done a good thing. The technology arm has commissioned work on deals worth 200 crores. It may be flat in trade today, but it would be interesting to get a perspective from the management as to what this means for the company in the near term and over the medium term. I think the clients have signed multi-year deals for hybrid cloud technology. And as we said before the break, Ramki Sankaranarayanan, the CEO of Prime Focus, joins us right now on the show. Good having you, Ramki. Thanks so much for joining in. So, the graphic tells me that the technology arm has commissioned work on deals worth 200 crores. Is this, are these new deals that have come into you, or have you commissioned work on 200 crores worth of deals and the revenues come into you in the current year? How does it work?
So these are absolutely new work that we have commissioned, so I think it's come from a combination of existing clients and new clients. I think there are three things that I would really sort of attribute this to. One, I think world over, I think M&E companies, media and entertainment companies are adopting cloud a little more than before, and I think that's clearly one that sort of is contributing to this. The second, I think, is really what we've done very specifically is actually created a significant media cloud in India, and I think that essentially means that we've connected all the television production companies and the broadcast networks together on one media cloud. And I think that sort of is something that we've had sort of, we pioneered this, over the last 2 years. And I think now more and more of that is really benefiting the industry, and you see that traction play out. And I think the third really is on the back of the fact that we already manage today, Clear, the cloud platform, really manages over 300,000 hours of content today. And really on the back of that management that happens, there's a lot of services that sort of come through that we start to execute as well. These are actual business processes that we tend to execute on the platform, and I think it's a function of all the three that really is sort of starting to now open up. And the 200 crores worth of work that we recently commissioned is really a fallout of that.
Okay. So what does this do to your current order book? I believe it's currently at 6,500 crores. Are the nature of, if I'm not wrong, are the nature of these contracts that you may have, and correct me if I'm wrong on the order book size, but are the nature of the contracts that you have near term, do a chunk of the revenues come in the first 2 years, which is this fiscal and the next fiscal, or are these multi-year dated?
So I think, let me just clarify, I think our current order book for Prime Focus Technologies really stands between $75 and $80 million.
Okay.
Right, and more specifically, the 200 crores that we just talked about. Actually, these are multi-year contracts, and they play out over the next 3 and 5 years. So these are fairly sort of fairly even sort of split between the next 3 and 5 years. That's kind of how it'll get executed.
What are the margins on these contracts?
The margins on these contracts will be healthy. As Prime Focus Technologies revenue is a combination of technology and services. And we've obviously seen, the technology revenues in that mix go up. And as a consequence, even though we've been growing at quite a rapid pace, the increase in mix of technology revenues obviously will keep the margins healthy. So it would probably be in the 28 to 31% range overall.
Why this desire to buy Rhythm and Use? And are there any more such string of pearl acquisition strategies or targets that you have in mind?
So I think, I think one of the significant things that we've done over the last few years is actually build these direct relationships in Hollywood. Actually work with pretty much every single studio today. Be it Sony, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, or so pretty much I think what that essentially means for us is that we do get exposed to projects, and many a time some of these projects require some new skills that we need to have, and we're constantly broad basing some of our skill sets, and always sort of companies with good track record will be hugely additive to the unique mix that we've actually got in place. The operations between Vancouver, London, and India. That is an interesting combination of sort of talent and tax breaks. right? Both Vancouver and London provide significant tax breaks to filmmakers. So I think that combined leverage is sort of really handy. And many companies who don't have quite that spread also tend to get benefited. And that's kind of really when acquisitions sometimes are sort of an interesting opportunity. So we continue to look at opportunities.
So in which case, just running out of time, give us in a nutshell, what does all of this that you're doing mean for your numbers as well? Because that's what your investor would be wanting to know. I mean, ballpark for FY14, what kind of growth do you show over FY13?
Look, I think Prime Focus Technologies, more specifically that, on the back of the 200 crores that we talked about, we've always sort of, Prime Focus Technologies have grown, over 2 to 3 times in revenue over the last few years. I do see that momentum carrying forward in FY14 for sure.
What about the consolidated entity? I don't know if you talked with the same thing, but as a stock, what do you do in consolidated revenues and consolidated PAT for the year FY14? Would the growth be as stupendous?
No, I think FY14 should be significantly better than FY13.
Which would mean?
No, I think look, FY13 we've had it's pretty much a milestone year in the fact that we've been on the back of what we did with paying back our bondholders.
Sure.
And sort of and I think reassessing our service mix and adding some interesting services to the service mix. So it's been a huge year of actually sort of very significant sort of work that we've done in FY13. And I think FY14 on the back of that would be better than FY13 for sure.
Okay, we'll talk to you, of course, post your numbers as well. But congratulations on these deals. Thanks so much for taking the time out and coming in our studios and giving us that perspective.
Pleasure for having me. Thanks.
That's Prime Focus. Slightly flattish in the session, but otherwise doing well. Before we take that break, Sandeep, was in the thick of things some time back. Off late, we haven't spoken about Prime Focus, but if you can pull up the charts and tell me if the stock looks like showing any kind of trend.